in 2017, the Lexmotos shifted from carburetors to EFI, and that came with a lot of benefits, but also a lot of disadvantages. And one of them was a very, very poorly placed tank breather. Now, in these bikes, I don't know about the 2018, the 2019, the 2020, because I never personally worked on them, but 100% I know for the 2017, lots of people have come across the same issue as my friend. Fuck off. The breather inside these tanks is, so it's basically directly in line with the frame here. It goes in underneath, there's like a L-shaped piece of metal tubing, and then it extends up into the tank, and it's got like a bell on the top to stop petrol from getting splashed in and being sucked into the system. And the point of that is that whereas before, if the tank got really hot in the sun, gases would have just vented into the atmosphere, which isn't ideal really. Now they go into the breather, down the metal tubing, round the bend at the bottom where it comes out of the bottom of the tank. That then has some plastic tubing on it that looks like this, so that would be connected like that down there with that onto it somehow. I can't remember how it goes on exactly, but that is a charcoal canister, and in there those built up gases will sit until you start the engine, at which point it sucks all of that shite into the... We're going down. That's the lowest it's going, unfortunately. Sucks it into the combustion chamber, and there you go, they're dealt with. After that, of course, the system shuts off, and the bike continues to turn over normally, no problems, and your charcoal canister will just sit there dormant until you then leave the bike again. However, because of the placement inside the tank, it's very, very easy to snap it off. When you're just sticking the fuel nozzle in there to fill it up normally, you've got no issues. But if you try and jam it in all the way so you can focus your attention on something else, or do whatever, very easy to just straight up bash it. And because it's on that thin metal tube, it just snaps right off. And that in itself isn't problematic. What's problematic is the hole that's left behind where the pipe used to be. Now, it sits at, from what I can test, it sits at about the 6 litre mark in your tank. So if you fill up your tank all the way to the top, it will basically piss 4 litres of that into your charcoal canister, which then potentially just drips down your bike, or floods your fuel injection system, and that's no fun at all, is it? Which will give you starting issues. And of course, if you've got petrol dripping down your bike repeatedly, that's going to cause all kinds of issues. It will just dry out all the seals, and any rubber it comes in contact with, it will ruin your paintwork. No fun whatsoever. And that's what's happened to this bike. Don't know whether my friend did it, or whether it happened to the bike. It happened to the bike when the previous owner had it. Unfortunately, I can't show you the breather itself. I gave it to my friend as a souvenir. He put it in a box, which then got thrown away accidentally. But whatever, that's not problematic. The point is that he was faced with two options. Either buy a whole new tank, which is like 100 plus quid, which is really not ideal considering this is a 2017 model, and at the time of this video it's only 3 years old. Not even. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, or try and seal it up. And that's what we had to go with, because he's on a serious budget. The only reason I found the issue was because the bike was crashed and I was doing a huge amount of work on it, and actually removed the fuel pump, and out came the breather. And I was like, oh, that's not supposed to be there. We'd actually noticed it previously rattling around in the tank, but we thought it was the fuel gauge slapping against the sides, but never mind. what was recommended to me was that I take a bit of this tubing from underneath, I blank one end with a bolt, which is what I did, and it has to be one that you can only get in by like force screwing it in. If you can just slide it into the hole to plug it, then it is not going to be in there securely enough. You have to really jam it in there, and ideally either cable tie it or put some wire around and wrap it with some pliers so it's on there tight, and that will stop the petrol from coming out. And then you do the same on your intake, where so basically you have a piece of tubing that comes at the bottom, goes into that little small valve thing, then goes into the charcoal canister, then you have another bit of tubing which goes down and into the bottom here of your injection system, and that's the other bit that you need to blank off. And I've tried running it without and with that blanked, so that it's basically been completely open and completely closed off, and there seems to be a very negligible difference. I've not noticed anything significant whatsoever in how it's run. The charcoal canister you can basically just discard. They're not expensive, they never need to be replaced, so there's not really a market for them, unfortunately. I've held on to this one simply because my friend's going to get the bike back and I'm just working on it for him. And most people say just to leave it at that. But I was thinking, what about pressurisation? Because the whole point is that if the tank gets really hot in the sun, or even just fairly warm, the pressure needs somewhere to go. So before, it would have just, you know, dissipated into the atmosphere, but here, the whole point of the tank is that it's sealed, so it's forced down the breather. And if the tank's sealed, and we've just sealed off the plug, or I've just sealed off the plug at the bottom, where's it going to go? And the opposite of that is that what if he's absolutely ragging the shit out of the bike? Maybe he's not even ragging it, maybe he's just got the RPMs going at like 8,000 for 30 seconds or something, because he's going down the dual carriageway. He's going to get vacuum problems. The bike's going to start stuttering, won't be able to pull the fuel properly, pump's going to not have a good time. So I've been a clever sausage. I have changed the lock set from a 2017 EFI to a 2016 carbureted lock set. What that means is that this fuel cap here is ventilated. For the carbureted tank, only has two holes in it, in opposed to 4. This has got one for the cap, one for the pump, one for the breather, and one for the fuel gauge. Carbureted just has cap and just has a hole for your fuel tap, so the only way for the pressure to escape is through the ventilated fuel cap. So I swapped it over to, yeah, so I've sorted it basically. Runs happy as Larry. I've given it a proper good run to make sure it's good, it's all sorted before I give it back to my friend. It would be a nightmare if I gave it to him and then it died half an hour later. I'd feel like such a shit for getting his hopes up. So I'm 100% sure I've sorted this now. Really pleased. If you run into the same issue, I suggest you do the same. Of course you can just replace a tank, you know, make your life easy, but I've encountered no issues whatsoever with removing the charcoal canister. It's literally just for Euro 4 standards. Yeah, have a good day.